Hello, Leo. I just had to make sure that I had muted the other microphone. Hopefully the sound is coming through okay. I'm using multiple devices during Mercury retrograde. So I'm doing the best I can, but I will see you live during the month. Now, this is the read for the Karmic Zodiac sign of Leo. So yes, you will need to know their direct Zodiac sign. It's not really linking in from a perspective of your direct Zodiac sign or your counterpart energy Zodiac sign. You also can use this to actually tap into other people around you, maybe that aren't really handling the astrology this month in July, but potentially disregard the romantic sector of which will relate more to a soul path energy of a soulmate or a twin flame connection. Now, I have found this whole process to be very deeply interesting, to say the least. More from a perspective of seeing how they're traveling, how they're handling the astrology, and what really at a soul level is coming through at a collective level. And they are really struggling, I will say, that at a very a light level. Now, the transit this month in July, we're having Neptune retrograde in the 8th house, which is the house of, the delusions connected to, in the retrograde state it is with Pisces, it's the psychology surrounding things, as well as the direct placement for each zodiac sign. Now, it falls in the 8th house, which is the house of, at a soul level, learning to work with individuals, really tuning into, okay, who's working with us, who's not, where is the give and take. It's also at a level where you turn into the alchemist, where you're moving towards a frequency of understanding the reciprocal energy and the cycles of life. So you're able to manifest things in because you have self-worth energy. In the retrograde effect, if a person hasn't developed that and they still haven't moved through that karmic test, it can be a very challenging time. And it doesn't mean to say those of us that are handling the astrology won't have those challenging times. It's just your perspective and your mindset connected to it has more tools to handle that energy. We're also having Venus direct, which is the 11th house placement. The Gemini energy is very social. It's very group orientated, and it's really assessing, and from the 11th house placement it is to do with those social groups. With Juno in Libra till October, we are having that fall in your 3rd house of communication. So looking at what people are saying, maybe accidentally at a lower frequency, being able to assess their words and maybe kind of manipulating things from a karmic perspective, not from a higher vibration perspective, but communication is going to be quite large. So when it comes to injustices, you will find with the 3rd house placement and Chiron retrograde in Aries till the end of the year, falling in the 9th house of your belief systems for this individual and for the collective of Leos. 9th house placement can be our spiritual beliefs. It can be to do with travel, with what we've learned, education, children and things to that degree, their educational system and our own. That there, of where we came from, we're retrograding back into that energy. Now in Aries, it stays there a lot longer, Chiron does. It does have a lot more work at a soul level to do in that position. So what I'm sensing from the chart, especially with Mercury retrograde in the 12th house of Cancer for Leos, 12th house can be psychiatry, mental asylums. It can be a very spiritual house if you're able to see it from that perspective and you're trying to bring your life full circle. But it's the house of your psychology. It's also the house of our undoing and hidden enemies, but it's that recess, that void space in our minds is really where the gold lies, but it's also where a lot of our mental mindset and our conditioning is there, and it kind of holds us back, and we break through it and we realize it's a perspective, a memory, a trigger, and it's all interconnected in a very synchronistic way. So much of July will be linking in with this, as well as the factor as with the Capricorn eclipse, the health sector and pets is really activated around this time. So with Chiron retrograding in Aries, animals can be very agitated, as well as we do need to be more mindful of that kind of frequency. We also can find that our own vibration at a health level for Leos especially, health can be coming up, diet, nutrition, leveling up with employment, really looking at, okay, have we been in alignment on soul mission? But it can be where we're at times our own worst enemies. So it's more like an audit system that we're retrograding into to assess, okay, have we been in balance? What are we going to do to move forward? Now, Saturn is moving back into Capricorn, which is the 6th house, and it's where the eclipse is happening on the 5th. So we're going to tuck into the read and see what's playing out for these Leo individuals that are in karmic connections, third-party energies. They don't have to be together. Many of the energies I've tuned into, it does appear things are falling down and moving away, and potentially some are actually not even with TF energy or soulmate energy anymore, but there's that umbilical cord off cycle actually being purged out at a financial, physical, or internal level, at a spiritual level. Where they're coming from in the past is they directly believed in, from conversations, because this is a card of Libra, that there was some sort of understanding that there was a new beginning, that this was the fresh start. So whatever that be, I do feel there has been cross wires to some degree. Potentially maybe a makeup, a breakup energy, and you do find in karmic connections, 9 times out of 10, they're not quite fluid. And yes, in soulmate connections also that can be so, and twin flames, but it's more from a spiritual level that you go away, you upgrade, you come back again, and you're looking at it and operating from a different paradigm. Energies of karmic nature generally aren't under the understanding of where that wound comes from and why those things happen. And 9 times out of 10, twins don't until they actually stumble across that energy. But we do tend to accidentally start working through that even if we're not wanting to. This fresh start frequency, it's almost coming from a perspective of 3D paradigms of potentially family, ingrained energy. This can be, okay, we have a house together, this is, this is my right. But it is from an egoic way coming through. There also can be some legalities coming up around this person that they're looking at things. They may also have had with the 8th house placement somebody pass, and the retrograde is bringing that old energy up. But it doesn't have to be that it's most recent. It can be a reflective state of a belief system linking in with that person, and what that meant to them, and what it now means moving forward. But somehow it shaped and evolved this person into the person they are today, even at a pain body experience, potentially being very protective of themselves. I'm really seeing something playing out, linking in potentially with tribe orientated energy. They're not necessarily feeling that it's going according to plan, and this could really be affecting their psychology at the moment. Maybe even, and it's strange because on this picture I'm almost tuning into the woman looking at the bird, but it's almost like not really seeing the issues, being in this delusional state, very Neptune energy of everything's going to be okay. But it's psychically speaking, I'm almost seeing the person not aware that there are things going on around them, just believing that everything's going to be okay. Meanwhile, there's energy of money going out, or situations playing out with pentacles above the woman's head. And there's something to do with the blue and the pink energy, which is, the throat chakra. Everything's balanced, because Juno is in Libra. So in the blue sense on the dress, it's very much thinking everything's quite balanced, hearing something, thinking it's okay, but not backtracking and actually sorting things out. And the red energy, I'm thinking it's almost the Venus energy with the pink flowing through the dress, is Venus in Gemini, which is 8th house. Maybe socializing, but not watching some certain things play out. Now, where they're moving to can be a very shocking situation. I do feel they're trying to sidetrack themselves because they're not wanting to see the other things that's going on. But very shifted in a sense of focusing on what's taking them to that higher ground and making them feel comfortable. This can be luxurious items, financial outlays, socialization. I'm not feeling social as much. More focused on maybe conversational pieces, but I feel it's more memories, not current 3D situations, let me say. Yeah, just memories of, what this could be versus what it actually is. Something that's playing out in their life. Now, to do with love, the way people see them, but the falseness in it, but just focusing on the pretty things. Which is strange, but understanding at the same time, because the ruin for the collective of Leos, you know, more in the higher frequency, but lessons that they're going to be learning kind of came out on the side. And this can link into the give and take, the reciprocal energy within connections. Now, Venus very much relates to friends, tribe, love interests, romantic partners, mother-father energy, bosses. It's all our interconnections, as well as it can be our diet, the foods we like, the luxury items we have. With it being in Gemini, it's very, you know, the things we do at a social level, the pastimes, the Venus attributes, but the social aspects, which can be pacifier energy, which came up in a channeling I did during the month, last month, which still resonates right now, might I add, with Neptune retrograde, because when we're triggered, we can tend to go to the pacifier energy to, okay, what is going to actually calm my energy? This situation is taking me to a trigger point. What's going to fill that void? Sometimes we use food. Sometimes it can accidentally be alcohol or other things. You know, seeking outside ourselves, for instance. You know, healthier levels would be counselling, talking to a friend, trying to break it down and, you know, to reach that point that we can reach some closure, something to that degree. This feels more 8th house energy of, with Pisces, it's very much psychology surrounding the dreams, Neptune in retrograde. We need to look at this. Is this based on a physical reality or a psychological belief system of a direct situation? So it's unique that Venus is going direct and Neptune's going retrograde, and it's like, whoa, 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 the universe is saying, hold up. We need to be looking at this. Is this based on a physical reality? So this person's not seeing this happen, you know, they're not listening to people around them. And this has been a massive message coming through with all the karmic reads, that there are people around them that love them very dearly, but it's almost like they're very goal orientated and fixated on a way of being, using particular tools at their device that they've learned, which we do as human beings, to cope with dealing with, you know, where they want to go and how they want to get there. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take them to the higher ground. Universe does tend to intervene in all of our lives if they feel that's not divinely guided for us. So it's having to have the courage, even if they don't completely have the clarity. Now, their financial domain, they do have the King of Cups. And I'm really feeling there has been this belief or this connection, so to speak. This can be a father energy that potentially, with the 8th house placement, a male energy that was in their life, be it was a past partner, whoever this male energy is, they set the tone for their belief systems within finances, connections, which is very conditioning. So I'm picking it more to be a very masculine energy, which can still be a female, but it's more someone who is quite in their masculine frequency, who's really shaped their perspective on money. I also do feel for some of them there could be an element of, maybe because they have tribe and they're looking after people, or they're not working as much, they believe that this person, to a degree, they're able to turn to. Now, this can be a love interest, it can be a father energy, it can be people around them who have potentially helped them out of a hard spot. It's a giving person, but there's a strange energy coming through. We're going to pull a clarify. What is this King of Cups to do with? Okay. It's someone who potentially may be enabling this person. It's someone that they go to when things are going pear-shaped. This could be, this feels someone close, so it's either directly a TF energy. I'm not feeling so though. It's somebody I feel it's very separate, but it's a belief system. Not necessarily something that's physically playing out, I do feel. I'm sensing like at a monetary level, there was a person around that they were able to turn to when it didn't go such according to plan, so to speak. Okay. Yeah, this can even be TF. So it's from partners. From partners, this was their paradigm of what connections were, which does make sense because where they stand right now is very sort of in their birthright energy of believing this is what the paradigm of connections are, but not always does it go that way because sometimes one has to work and the other can't. So there can be situational shifts that can occur, which will really test relationships. You know, can we grow through those changes, or does it have to resonate at the very same degree continuously? But sometimes we don't grasp that they were continuously growing, and that is an impossibility for it to remain exactly the same the whole way through. Very similar when we are young and we're scared to flee the nest before we know it, we may find ourselves being parents. That delay of the other energies that comes into our life just happens later. We can never really avoid it, but there is this, you know, almost not even tunnel vision energy that this is going to be fine, it's going to be the way it's going to be forever. So we do fail to understand the obligation, really, with Saturn going direct. I feel it's hitting hard to show us the falseness in this perspective and what the direct truth is, that we're really needing to actually look at the fact that everything is an impermanency. It's a journey, but this person's very fixated on this is how it has to look. Now, in the career sector, again, I do feel almost having to follow their gut instincts, but I'm feeling they're reaching out to people. They're almost like, it's going to be okay, this is going to be fine, my career's going to be fine. They're waiting for something. I think it's a person. This can be for a job or for things that they've done in the past to come back. This can be money owed to them. Sometimes I get the most bizarre visions. There might have been a person move out of their life. Let me look at the 6th house. Whatever this is in career, I do feel they've sort of looked at it like, okay, I've got to change something. So whatever this is, they're moving things around. Now, they may be waiting for an offer. They may be very, very guided at the moment to really focus on the employment sector. And it's not to say they're not working. I mean, whatever this is, there's a waiting and they're sensing something's going to come up. And it does make sense because on the 5th, they do have the Tower. So whatever they're sensing, I do feel they're tuning into. And it may be that somebody might be moving out. So it's like while they're focused on work and there's movement there may be this frequency of a transformation happening. Yeah, it's like something in the 8th house. What they depended on, the money not being there or a person not being there. But maybe understanding the reason why that is. Something hasn't come together. So there can be a disagreement between two people where they're just not seeing or no longer on the same page. And this can be where the person wants them to go, but they're spending more time at work, not focusing on it like. And again, I'm not feeling someone's stolen them. It's just a direct choice that they're wanting to move. Somebody at work also may be leaving, so they're waiting for this to happen so that they can actually move up to the next level. Now, in their tribe, in their circular friendship groups, okay, there can be some conflict. And it was funny because around the career, I do feel there's been a white lie pulled to actually secure a position. This can be with tribe energy, a misuse of their energy. And that's really what I was picking with the career sector. Because we have the moon energy, instincts. You know, at a higher level, great. At a psychological level, 12th house placement, Mercury in Cancer, something that was done to cause a chain reaction. Again, very Capricorn with employment, career sector. Are we on our highest path? Work environment, habits, routines, health, house of the hidden enemies. Have we been doing that? During that eclipse, if something was done untoward, it's going to come up. And it can mean the end of something, but something is being shown who the true energy is. Something to do with work, instincts, career. No one's taking it from them. It's being sort of moved around to make room. They're waiting for this to happen. So it does feel a seed planted. I asked with tribe what their energies were towards this person after this. Lost faith. Family. Something's not moving forward due to this. This can be an issue on the home front. And again, with 4th house placement, it's very Scorpion. So around the time we had Venus in shadow, it was very malefic. With Pluto, it's taking on that energy. And also with the 8th house placement of Neptune and Pisces, it's very much that frequency too. So it's really oozing through. If things aren't balancing out and we haven't been in alignment, when planets go direct, it's going to get pretty icky. So something really is not moving. There does seem to be a massive message coming through with all the reads, and it's really that there are people around them that do care, and they're coming across and they're trying to explain this. They're giving them warning signs. They're maybe having conversations with them and trying to give them loving coaching. They're not seeing the value in this because they know what they want, and they're not wanting to hear it. They're like, they're really focused on what they believe they're going to have. They're like, this is what it's going to be. But people around them aren't trying to be mean. They're like, it's not going that way. You need to see the writing on the wall. You know, the give and take in this, the very 8th house placement, it's not in balance. But they're holding on to that like a physical, spiritual belief system. Yeah, they can be waiting for a letter. They're waiting for communication. So for some, they may not be with TF any longer, or this person, and it can be really causing them some upset, but they're set on it. They're like, no, everything's going to be fine. This is going to be fine. Now, by the time we reach the new moon in Cancer, which is our last chance to transform that 12th house placement of for Leo, the psychology, the belief system, the perspective, the spirituality, it's like something has completely come to an end, and I do feel they're understanding that they're like, okay, wow, what just happened here? It's going to take them by surprise. I do feel it was cycling down, the writing was on the wall, but at the same time they're wanting this to join, but the other person does not want this to join, and that's really taken them by a huge surprise by the time we have the new moon in Cancer. So like I was saying, for all of us collectively, it's really unique in a sense that with any new moon energy, sometimes we are needing to end a cycle before we can have that real brand new frequency come through. But where they're going to, it will take them to this higher ground. But they will have that 12th house placement. Up until Mercury goes direct, it will be very heavy. So they do feel mentally stuck until they can physically come to terms with it, which is the purge. I do feel they're waiting on a letter, but it's not something that they're wanting to read. Yeah, it's not something they want to read. It's like there's this letter coming in, they're waiting. It can be communication. But again, it's almost more to do with something that's not valuable to them. It's like I didn't want to hear that. I didn't need to hear that. Yeah, it's making them feel very uncomfortable and unwell. We're going to get into the energy, how they're seeing the TF frequency and all the energies surrounding. I feel overall, spiritually, they're very exhausted. Now, Crow Totem was coming up for July very largely, which to me, in an esoteric kind of spiritual connotation, it's like paying the ferryman, the give and take, the reciprocal energy. It's like what goes around comes around, but it's more these cycles of life. It's not, there's good karma, there's bad karma, but at a spiritual level, it's like The soul's healing, it's upgrading, it's transforming, needing to recoup. And I did say they're going to need to recover, because even if they try and trap this person, they're not, it's not going to hold them. They're trying to paint this pretty picture. I think they may be entertaining, using pacifiers, so that this person will be moved back into this energy. This can be at a very Venus frequency. Smooth, soothing words, picking the right actions, picking the right environment. It's almost like I'm psychically seeing them playing out how everything went, like it was a puzzle. They're wanting justice. They're wanting this to be balanced out. They're wanting it to be fair. They're wanting a connection. They're wondering why. And it's funny because now that I'm seeing the Four of Wands here, I do feel they're more thinking about what TF's doing with their soul mate twin flame energy. They may actually be saying that they're soulmates. Yeah, they're like so confused. They truly believed this was it. They were trying to bring this new energy in. This may have occurred during the Venus retrograde already. There may have been a social event, and I feel they were really trying to put their best foot forward in their belief to bringing this new energy, to really turn over a new leaf. Maybe a lot of socialization, maybe a lot more communication. And again, the excessive communication can come down to the Juno energy with the Libra and Justice of talking, you know. And I'm hearing the song, no, I don't want to be mean. It's not mean. It's coming through like, you know, when you're worried and you're wanting to really explain your position like you're selling gold. It always ends up the polar opposite, and the person looks at you like you're groveling. This person doesn't know that, and I think we all spiritually have been there, where we're pleading our case, so to speak, very, very much, you know, the justice card. You know, do me right, please do me right. What's happened here? This has caused this person to feel great despair because of believing a situation to be one way and it's not. But they did know, and this is the thing, they felt they had mapped this situation out, which is quite a Virgo energy. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, from a spiritual point of view, this person's, and I mentioned this before I did this channeling, from a spiritual point of view, when we're growing and we're ascending, the second house can be the house in which we gain our self-esteem from. It can be through our endeavours, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, sometimes hurdles. The self-esteem energy is very Virgo in nature for this Leo karmic energy. It's almost trying to play, and I use the analogy of Groundhog Day. It's a bit like the person's going into the matrix each time, having the same direct frequency with people and playing it out to a point they're perfectifying it, and they're believing that is the goal. The thing is, the universe is trying to show them something different. It makes me feel very emotional. But they don't get it because they've sort of jumped into this, and they may have had connections like this before, and it's now deeply impacting their self-esteem. But they knew, because it was a tactical approach, not an emotional approach. Now, the emotional approach, as per se, is to look at the wound where it occurred first, and then to go back to that yucky spot, and it really sucks, to go back to that yucky spot and go, gosh, you know, really, what happened to me back then when that person really ripped me for sex in my heart, and I closed myself off and felt very much I had to have these very controlled environments to have a connection in order for me to have the best outcome. During this process, it was more the art of the plan. It has hurt because they put so much effort in, But what it's taking them back to is the heart space of, wow, you know, why? Why has this happened? They're pausing. They're really pausing to reflect upon this, which I think is incredibly healthy. But they're also very mad at themselves. This aspect of self-esteem is linking back to a previous wound. They also, this person, who, whichever, be it masculine or feminine, they've dealt with, this person in every which way has been very blunt and said, you're trapping me. Now, however it has been articulated, whether it be a demeanour the person has come across with, or the words, whatever it is, this person is in awareness of this, is that they didn't have to stay, they chose to stay, it was a physical choice, maybe they were at the same frequency at some point. So it's more this as a visual being, a belief system in their mind that they've looked at and said, this person can go, there's nothing I can do, which is soul closure to a degree, so it is showing that this karmic cycle is actually over. Once it's reached that energy, yeah, it's a maturity of that energy. You know, it's passing a test. It's like, okay, you've seen something, okay, on to the next chapter. External. This person is wanting to go back to that way. Potentially utilising that this month, the tactics that worked in the past. But there's something nagging in them to say. It hasn't completely been an operational success in the past. It doesn't appear to be that it's going to be moving forward. Advice for TFs external to this. Keep centered. You know, what is attractive in your energy is your independence. It's the fact that you can have an independent external view, but again, being very neutral. But your independence and focusing your energy on you, this is bringing a breath of fresh air, and I do feel that your counterpart energy is going to see that. So I'll see you guys during the month. If you are wanting a private booking to tune into the energy psychically, I can do that. It's very unique actually having the psychic energy done away from the cards. I do use cards, but I don't need them. We will tune in during the month. Love and light, guys.